All right, guys, for the life of me, I don't understand why more people aren't talking about this. I guess it's got to be because they don't know about it. But as soon as you hear this is like just mind-boggling stuff. The Trump regime has just waged all-out war on the Constitution of the United States of America. And we have a great video here from the Legal Eagle YouTube channel where they explain how not only is ICE breaking the law and violating the Constitution, they know they're doing it, and they're engaged in a massive criminal conspiracy and cover-up. So they are using, there's a judicial warrant which allows law enforcement to like go into your house and potentially arrest you, right? And there's this thing called an administrative warrant, which is not the same thing. An administrative warrant is basically like ICE saying, I am giving ICE permission to do X, Y, or Z. Doesn't count in a court of law, okay? Doesn't give them a free pass to take away your Fourth Amendment rights. Okay? But what they're doing is they're lying to people. They're saying they have a warrant. They don't. They have an administrative warrant, not a judicial warrant. It's not the same thing. So people know their rights, or to some extent they do, and they go, do you have a warrant? And ICE will say yes, and then they'll enter a property. And people don't know to ask that next question. Wait a second, is it a judicial warrant? Because it's not. It's not. So they've been doing this, a massive criminal conspiracy. They've been doing it the entire Trump regime. Watch this. This is crazy. Take a look.
If you know two things about criminal procedure, one is probably you have the right to remain silent, and the other is you need a warrant to enter someone's house and arrest them. But according to a secret leaked ICE legal memorandum, ICE thinks that they can just enter your house and arrest you without any criminal procedure whatsoever. It's 2026, people, and the Constitution is optional, apparently. And that should scare absolutely everyone. There are very few things in the Constitution that are more clear than this, that the government can't break into your home without a warrant signed by a judge. Because under King George, the tyrant that we rebelled against, British officers used what were called general warrants to barge into colonist homes without judicial approval. The Fourth Amendment was written to make sure that no government could ever do that again. So naturally, in the year of our Lord 2026, we decided to do exactly that again. So how did we get here? Well, Whistleblower Aid, a non-profit legal organization, represents two anonymous government officials who have revealed a very secretive and highly unconstitutional policy directive issued by ICE in May of 2025. And it looks like there was an actual cover-up to make sure that this memo didn't see the light of day. One of the whistleblowers within ICE had been allowed to view the memo only in the presence of a supervisor and then had to give it back. That person was not allowed to take notes. A totally legal thing when you're trying to train people on what is and is not constitutionally permissible. A second whistleblower was able to access the memo and lawfully disclose it to Congress through counsel. The whistleblower report and a copy of the memo were leaked to the public. So now we have access to a copy of this internal ICE memo that tells officers they can forcibly enter homes and make arrests using only an administrative warrant rather than a warrant actually signed by a judge. That distinction matters because under the Fourth Amendment, those two pieces of paper are not interchangeable. In fact, while they share parts of the same name, they're about as similar as a French horn and a shoehorn. Now, an administrative warrant isn't really a warrant as we normally think about it. It's an internal agency document signed by someone who works within the agency instead of a judge from the judiciary branch, which authorizes an arrest for an immigration violation. That administrative warrant allows someone to be arrested, but that's really it. It lets you arrest someone on public property, but it doesn't give them the right to make a forced entry into a private residence. In contrast, judicial warrants must be signed by a judge and specify who or what ICE is seeking. No one is obligated to answer the door for ICE or allow agents into a home unless they have a judicial warrant. But of course, we keep seeing ICE agents forcibly entering homes without any warrant at all and without consent. And we've also seen DHS officers trying to pass off administrative warrants as judicial warrants. In fact, this just happened to Chong Lee Scott Tao, an American citizen from St. Paul. ICE agents burst into his home without showing a judicial warrant while searching for two other people, handcuffed him in front of his grandson, and detained him outside in freezing temperatures wearing only underwear and a blanket. They eventually released him hours after they discovered he was not the target. So if you were wondering just where does ICE get off thinking that it has a right to do this, well, it's not just rogue agents. They apparently wrote this down and trained people on it. Yes, they're being told it's legal. Now, the memo is addressed to all ICE officers, but has not been distributed to all of them. According to the whistleblowers, it's being shown to, quote, select DHS officials who are then directed to verbally brief the new policy for action. Those supervisors then show the memo to some employees, like our clients, and direct them to read the memo and return it to the supervisor. Yes, you're reading that right. The memo is deemed too hot to even show to rank-and-file ICE agents. And the agency fired employees who objected to the unconstitutional policy. It says, quote,
oh my God. So if you know they fired you if you know the Constitution and said, we need to follow this. They fired the people. Oh my God. Could you imagine the roles were reversed? Could you imagine it was a Democrat? And a Democratic president said, I will fire anybody in this agency who knows the Constitution and insists we follow it. It would be the biggest scandal in the world. You would never hear the end of it. It would be 24/7 on all the right-wing networks. But now they won't talk about it. They'll pretend like it's not real. It is just totally www.shh.com. This is so crazy.
Government instructor chose to resign rather than be forced to teach what they understood to be unlawful.
Wow.
This is evidence that the people who drafted the Lyons memo have knowledge that it is illegal. It also shows that some of the employees have been retaliated against for opposing the illegal policy. And the complaint reiterates that ICE leadership knows that the Form I-205 is not a real warrant. Quote, Form I-205 has not been considered a warrant issued by a neutral and detached magistrate. Only a warrant issued by a neutral and detached magistrate would authorize ICE agents to enter or search non-public areas such as an alien's residence. So to recap, ICE leadership knows administrative warrants aren't real warrants. Their own training says you can't enter homes this way, and Congress's own legal experts agree. Oh, and ICE wants to hide this memo from the public and also the people who are supposed to be implementing this new policy. Which brings up an important question. Is the Lyons memo evidence of a criminal conspiracy?
Yes.
I don't know, man, but that definitely seems like a conspiracy against rights under the civil rights laws.
I'm at a loss for words. That is so insane. That is so insane. This is a massive criminal conspiracy that ICE is engaged in. Greg Bovino should be locked up. He should be locked up. So should Tom Homan. So should fucking Kristi Noem. I mean, this is so crazy. They need to get on record, those guys, the people who were fired because they insisted that they follow the Constitution. We need to get them on record. I'm telling you, bro, we need mass trials. There's no way around this without so many people going to prison, because they really did wage an all-out war on rights, on the Constitution, on the law. I've never seen anything like this in this country. All right, but I also have this. So, as you all know, Ken Klippenstein has been reporting on this thing called NSPM-7, which is basically the federal government saying, if you disagree with MAGA, you are now a terrorist. I know that sounds hyperbolic, but it's quite literally what they want, okay? And now we have further evidence that that indeed is how they look at it. So, an ICE agent is asked why he's taking pictures of a legal observer's car. And then listen to what he says back. This is disturbing. Here we go.
It's not illegal to record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Why are you taking my information down?
Because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So
For videotaping you? Are you crazy?
How terrifying is that? He's so casual and so nonchalant about it. Again, this is not law enforcement. Law enforcement has this feeling of like seriousness and professionalism to it, right? This is not law enforcement. These are criminals. These are gangsters. That's what they are. And so here he is joyfully admitting, oh, you're tracking us, which is your legal right to do, observing us. You're using your constitutional rights. Now you're a domestic terrorist. How quickly this country fell apart. How quickly our democracy was obliterated. How about this one? Just in a new lawsuit, Minnesota officials say DHS mishandled evidence from today's crime scene and made astonishing law enforcement decisions. So yet again, they were basically trying to cover up for the murderers that killed Alex Preddy. Oh my God, Alex Preddy's parents found out he was dead when an AP reporter called them. No one picked up the phone to inform them that their son had been killed. And as of Saturday night, they still hadn't heard anything from federal officials. Again, these are criminals. These are thugs. These are gangsters. It is disrespectful to call them law enforcement, to call them agents, to call them officials. No. They are criminals. They are thugs. They are gangsters. That's what they are. And then we also have this. At least 2,300 cases where ICE has illegally detained people without bond or due process, according to Politico. 2,300 cases of people's rights being taken away. No due process whatsoever. None whatsoever. And then finally, how about this one? Judge Tostrud, a Trump appointee, has quickly granted a restraining order barring the administration from destroying or altering evidence taken from today's shooting. The fact that he feels like this declaration must be issued, that alone says absolutely everything about where we are. Just completely and utterly lawless country we're now living in, where the default expectation is, of course they're going to destroy evidence. Of course they're going to cover up the crime scene. Of course they're going to try to let their guy escape. Of course he's going to still be on the job, in some other state harassing innocent people for the ICE Gestapo thugs. I mean, it is just, I know I say it all the time, but I genuinely mean it. I'm at a loss for words. I'm running out of ways to describe the depravity that we're witnessing and the moral collapse that we're in the midst of. And I'm sorry, I do not have it in my heart anymore to have any sympathy or empathy for any of these fucking Trump supporters. If you are MAGA, you are an enemy. If you are still MAGA at this late date and you haven't woken up yet, There will be no waking up. You are hopeless. You are sadistic. You are demonic. And I think everybody needs to come to terms with that. That there's just some people who are completely unreachable. And I don't know how we share a country with people who are like this. I genuinely don't. So there you have it. I believe this is like multiple criminal conspiracies that they've engaged in. And this is literally just one segment on one day. You know, I've been tracking them pretty closely for quite a while now, and I know all of the individual instances of crimes that they're committing. But to basically uncover multiple schemes here, multiple criminal conspiracies to deny people due process rights and lie about having warrants, like I said, you need a lot of people to go to prison sooner rather than later.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.